G'day everybody, my name is Elliot Waters and you're listening to the Dysregulated podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. If you're enjoying the show, feel free to like, subscribe, give us a great 5-star rating for the algorithm, and you can share it around the show with your mates. And you can follow me on Instagram at elliot.t.waters. All right, so this episode, I feel like I'm breaking the rules again to get this one out there, but I think I've discovered a loophole. So I'm still at ISMU on the psych ward there at James Fletcher, still at ISMU, but I'm on overnight leave. I'm on overnight leave tonight, so I tell you, it's going to be so good. I'm talking to you from my place at the moment, and I am so keen for bed because, you know, the beds at ISMU, they're hospital beds, and we all know what hospital beds are like. They're terrible, absolutely terrible. They're always like, I don't know, plasticky, and the linen's always stiff, and it's just terrible. I haven't really got used to it over the month that I've been at ISMU, but I've sort of been able to tolerate it, I suppose. But that's why I'm so excited to go to bed tonight, because I'll get to lie in my comfortable bed with the nice soft linen, and it's going to be great. Going to be great. But before that, I want to get this episode out. So that's the loophole though, because I'm on overnight leave, so I'm not at the ward. So, you know, you may remember if you've listened to the previous episodes that I've been banned from making episodes of the podcast while I'm at ISMU. I've been banned. And, you know, after a lot of thinking and meditating on this idea, I sort of now agree with the reasoning behind it, which is for me to focus on me and not the focus on things that I can do, which I can then talk about on the podcast. So, you know, a bit of a subtle difference. I'm in there not to find material for the show. I'm in there to sharpen my mind up and get back on track and, you know, really get those routines and things locked in again. And to do that, I really need to focus on me and only me within me. So that's the story. But because I'm on overnight leave, I reckon that I might be able to get this one out, this sneaky little episode, which is pretty cool. All right, so if I'm slurring my words, which I don't think I am, but more on that in a minute, but if I am slurring my words, it's not because I'm back on the alcohol. It's not because I'm back on the beers. Well, that's not true. Okay, I'm still having a lot of Carlton Zero. Well, when I'm here anyway, because although Carlton Zero's got no alcohol in it, you know, you probably shouldn't still be taking beer, even if it's non-alcoholic, to a psychiatric ward. So I've had my first couple of cans of Carlton Zero today, and I'll tell you, it's like meeting an old friend again. Just brilliant. And it is brilliant because there's no alcohol. And what I'm replacing the alcohol with is something called Kava. I don't know if you guys have heard of Kava. It's a drink from the Pacific, a traditional drink from the Pacific Islands like Fiji and Vanuatu. It's been called Nature's Valium. Nature's Valium. So, of course, when I hear things like that, it's like, right, I've got to give this a go. And I'm telling you, Kava is proving to be one of the best tools I have against generalized anxiety disorder. It is pretty good stuff. It chills you out, makes you mellow, and sort of, you know, you're just nice and calm and sort of just going with the flow. And that's what I'm doing here right now. I've got a bit of a Kava buzz happening, but it's great because it's not addictive and it doesn't make you do stupid things that you might regret later. It's just, it's a very, very healthy alternative to alcohol or benzodiazepines, because alcohol never really did it for me as far as my anxiety goes. Benzodiazepines like lorazepam certainly did help my anxiety, but then also made me forget like weeks at a time and do things that maybe I probably shouldn't have, like send messages to certain people. I apologize if you're listening. Anyway, so benzos are bad, alcohol is bad, at least for me. But Kava, they all work on these GABA receptors. I'm going to do a full episode on Kava, but the three, alcohol, benzos, and Kava, work on these GABA receptors. That's why Kava is a good substitute for alcohol and drinking schooners of beer, because it works on the similar, you know, pathways that alcohol does. And that's pretty cool. But as I said, it's not addictive, doesn't make you do stupid things. It just chills you out a bit. It's awesome. And if you're someone like me, which I know a lot of you guys are, that's constantly in this fight or flight mode, like this Kava it's a godsend. And as I said, it's probably my best tool, I reckon, when it comes to trying to nullify the effects of anxiety. I think it does a great job. So there you go. I've got no idea if you can, well, I've sort of looked at, you can't overdose on it, but I don't know if you have too much and it's like alcohol and you vomit it back up or what the story is, but I've had a lot today and I'm feeling pretty good, let me tell you. So there you go, Kava. It used to be illegal here in Australia, but the TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, gave it the all clear, and I'm glad that they did, because you can go to the supermarket, you go to Coles, and you can buy it at Coles, see sachets full of Kava, chuck it in some water. Now look, it looks like muddy water, it tastes like muddy water because it's Kava's some root thing of some, I don't know, some plant thing, some root that's found in Fiji, Vanuatu and places like that. So, mud is sort of part of the deal and it tastes like mud. But I'll be honest, it's an acquired taste. When I first started drinking, I'd pinch the nose and just scull it as quick as I could, just get it over and done with. But now I'm actually sitting on it and sort of enjoying the earthy taste because, I don't know, it just, just the taste of it makes me think, all right, we're going to calm down here. This is cool, this is awesome. So I'm associating and attributing the muddy taste to a real positive, which is me being calm. So all of a sudden, this disgusting mud water is now very, very palatable. So there you go. Kava is great, and I've had plenty of it today, and as a result, I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm chucking this episode out there because I think I'm in the loophole. I think I've found the loophole, and I'm not going to get into trouble. All right, moving on. So back to Ishmu tomorrow afternoon. I've got 2.5 weeks to go. I think it's 2.5 weeks. I've been there for about a month. 2.5 weeks to go, and we're making good improvements, and I am very excited to reveal everything that's gone on once I'm discharged. So February the 26th, it appears, will be my discharge date. And once I walk out of there, I'm telling you, on the hour, every hour, there's going to be episodes coming. Bang, bang, bang. I'm just going to smash them out. It's like I'm going to open the floodgates. It's just going to be like 100 episodes in a day. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to, of course, be really, really great content, great insights and my opinions and feelings on how things have gone. All right, enough of that. The Kava, come on, let's move on. So I went to Sydney today. This is part of the reason I got the overnight leave, because I was in Sydney all day today. I'll tell you something I don't miss is Sydney traffic. Fair dinkum. What a nightmare. Anyway, I drove the 2.5 hours from Newcastle down to Sydney, battled with the traffic, which was very anxiety-provoking, just quietly. And I went to the Black Dog Institute. Of course, me and the Black Dog Institute have had a long-running partnership now. I'm a lived experience presenter for them. I've been doing it for 10 years as of this year. Got the decade up. How good's that? So I always like when I get to go down and do some training and see all the team, and because it's a bit hard being in Newcastle. I can't just drop in, but we're contacting each other over the phone and emails all the time. It's great to be able to actually see the person in the flesh. We're like, hey, it's me. So that was pretty cool today, just to see everyone again. But it was really cool. So the reason I was there is because one of the presentations that we do, one of them is called mental fitness. And the mental fitness presentation has undergone a huge transformation for the better, I think, although it's going to take a while to get my head around it because I'm going to have to present very differently than I'm used to make sure that I tick all the boxes on this one. But that's okay. It's okay. That's what the training's for, to get my head around it, get our heads around it, and figure out the best way to proceed with this new presentation and get that really good message out there to the community. And so it was really good to talk about mental fitness and brush up on the theory behind it, and it's very exciting imagining giving this presentation to a school group or a community sporting club, because I think this version of the mental fitness presentation is the best one so far, and I think it's going to do a lot of good, which is really, really great. But one of the great reasons of going down wasn't just to see like the staff members of Black Dog, so that's who I was referring to before, the people that work there, but these training events, all the lived experience presenters that are able to make it come in, and we all get to chat to each other and meet each other and introduce each other, and then work on these presentations together. So it was pretty cool, because I was looking around the room, and I'm just like, these people, they're my people. When I'm at Ishmu, I look around and think, these people are my people. And I looked around the room today at Black Dog in Sydney, and I was like, these are my people. They're on the same wavelength. And they are. We are. We're all, we're all got different stories, but at the same time, we've all got that lived or living experience of mental illness, whether it's ourselves personally or someone that we care about. So, you don't have to really say anything. You just know. You've been to your version of hell, and I know that. You know that I've been to my version of hell. And look, we don't really need to say anything, but we just get it. We get it. So it's pretty cool. I think everyone sort of can be a part of that. I guess the difference maybe with us is that obviously we've acknowledged what's gone on, and we've sought this insight, and we want to use our experiences to try and get some change happening out there in the community, which is great. So, we're all sort of aligned. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to do the best thing that we can with our stories and our experiences and turn them into a positive. And I don't know, I just reckon it's cool being around people like that. Like, I got asked a lot of the presenters were new. So I was one of the longest serving, I think I was the longest serving presenter that was in the room. So a lot of questions came my way about how I've presented in the past and, what's worked and what hasn't, because it's taken a long time to sort of tweak the way or my methods when it comes to presenting to get the best message across. It hasn't always been smooth sailing, that's for sure, and I said that today. But even in this room of like-minded people, you still get that social anxiety sort of thing happening. I wasn't speaking maybe as clearly as I thought. A little bit more about that because that's become an obsession, thinking about how I speak. But anyway, talk about that in a minute. But, there was anxious. I was sweating bullets the whole time, and I was getting asked a lot of questions, and I hoped I answered them as best I could. But, it was very anxiety-provoking because it's still random people that my inner critic says, hey, forget that they're on the same wavelength. They're looking at you and thinking you're an idiot and that you're speaking in a way that is not legible and it doesn't make sense. That's what the inner critic the whole time was saying. They'd ask me a question, I'd answer it, and then I'd be... half of my psyche would disassociate and go into inner critic mode. And it was like I was watching myself speak and just running myself down constantly. And this is something that's been happening a lot lately, a lot. But no, it was really good. It was a great experience. That's just, the inner critic stuff, whatever. We know that's a thing for me, and it's just I've got to deal with it as best I can. And I did that by continuing to answer questions when I felt like I had something to share. And it was really, really good. And because we're all like-minded, there was no fake personas or anyone putting on a mask or a facade or anything like that, because we all know what those personas, masks, facades look like because we've all worn them ourselves. We've put on the personas and we're beyond that point now. So it was very, I don't know if raw is the word, but real. It was really real and genuine. And as I said, it's great to be amongst people that are sort of on the same wavelength when it comes to that sort of stuff. And of course, I heard bits of people's stories, and, it's a great honour to be allowed the insight into their stories. Like I'm more than happy to talk about mine, and it's great when people are willing to listen. But what's really cool is when people are willing to tell me some stuff about what's going on with their life, because it's a great privilege, and I learn a lot from that. And I think we can all learn a lot too from having a bit of a listen to each other and see how we're going, which is basically a big part of what the mental fitness presentation is all about. A big component of it is about social social connectedness. Yeah, that's it. Social connectedness. Social connections. Let's say that instead. That's a big theme of the presentation, and that's and that's sort of a theme that I've tried to run with my daily life and how I sort of conduct myself in the real world. Anyway, okay, rambling on a little bit. So, yes, Sydney was great today. See all the crew at Black Dog, meet some lived experience presenters. That was pretty cool. And these mental fitness presentations, they're going to be pretty good, I reckon. It's going to take a bit for me to get my head around it because there's a lot more structure to it. And I'm not used to really talking like amongst structure. I don't like, well, it's not that I don't like them, I just don't feel very comfortable when there's all these sort of tick boxes you got to do. And not saying that the whole presentation is just ticking boxes, it's definitely not, but there is more of this structured component to it, which maybe on face value will be a little bit difficult for me to adapt to, but adapt I will, because it's very, very important. What I'm thinking of doing is when I've done a few practice runs, I'm thinking of doing one as if I was presenting to a school, say, and record it and upload it here on the potty so you can have a listen to it yourself. Because as I said, there's great stuff in it. It's a great presentation. So, speaking of that, if you like the sound of these presentations, like the mental fitness presentation, you can request to have a Black Dog lived experience presenter come to your school or your sporting group or another community event, and we can go out and present these presentations to you and the people that are invited. And I highly recommend, if people want to see me live, Elliot live, talk to the Black Dog Institute, get me out there, I'll give a presentation and probably record a potty episode while I'm there too. Brilliant. So if you do like the sound of that, if you're a community group, email community@blackdog.org.au, and if you're in a school setting, email schools@blackdog.org.au, and just say that you're interested in the presentations that Black Dog offer, and if you do want me to come out, which would be pretty cool, by all means write in the email that you would like me to be the presenter, because I am raring to go. I just need some dates locked in, so let's get it moving. Yes, but a lot of today and a lot of the last few days, in fact, the last probably fortnight, has a lot of my obsessions has focused on my speech and my cognitive ability and flexibility and overall performance. So the whole sort of thinking about death thing has subsided a little bit. That's great, but it's been replaced by this constant observing me speaking and just running myself down, being like, not pronouncing words properly is a good example. Stumbling over words. I'm cognitively dull. What I'm saying doesn't quite hit the mark. I'm obsessed with this idea that I'm dumbing down and I can't get my messages out. Now, you know me. I have a podcast. I do presentations. I'm all about speaking. I'm all about speech and talking. I love the sound of my own voice. And if my ability to convey a message is hindered in some way, that really, really upsets me, because a big part of my meaning and purpose rests on the ability that supposedly I have, my verbal IQ, the ability to be able to convey a verbal message. And at the moment, I'm obsessed with this idea that I'm not speaking properly, and he's doing my head in. So today I'm answering questions from the group, which was awesome, except for the fact that the whole time, like half of my psyche is disassociated, and I'm just like, right, let's focus. Me and this part of my psyche was hand in hand with the inner critic during this. And it's like, right, stumbling over words there, didn't get that out properly. That wasn't a good sentence, blah, blah, blah. All this is going on, fair income, all this is going on while I'm trying to answer questions around the room. So if I'm being a bit kind to myself, it's a miracle that I was able to answer any questions at all, and, full credit to me. But it's so frustrating, because it hasn't just been today in Sydney, it's also been at work. I've been asking people at work, am I stumbling over words? Am I being clear? Like, is my speech legible? What's going on? And everyone's just like, Elliot, what are you talking about? You're fine. What's the problem? So I don't know. There's two sort of things I'm thinking. One is that maybe I am getting a bit duller and maybe not speaking as clearly, because that could well be because of my medications, in particular lamotrigine and pregabalin. So my memory's been really bad, and it has been bad. That's something that people have acknowledged. Unfortunately, my memory is still pretty poor. And pregabalin and lamotrigine, certainly there's evidence that it can get in the way of some cognitive abilities and maybe slow things down a little bit, and also make short-term working memory a little bit harder to sort of tap into. So part of me is thinking, okay, well, we probably are not speaking as clearly because we're dumbed down by these medications. But then the evidence from my environment, which is the people that I'm asking every day, am I sounding clear or not? The evidence from the environment is saying that things are fine. So is it that this is just my inner critic and this a latest obsession that's latched onto to try and bring me down? Is that all it is? Or is there a bit of truth to the story, and maybe some of these medications are causing some side effects which are making things a little bit more difficult than we want them to be? I don't know. Part of my psyche, like I said, is pointing fingers and saying that there's problems because of medications, whereas the other half is sort of saying, come on, no one's actually said that there's any issue, so there's no issue. That's it. That's the end of it. So I don't know. That's something I've been battling with lately. The obsession around death has gone down. Don't get me wrong, it's still there. I think about it all the time, but it's not as intense as it has been. But it's been replaced with this weird idea, this concept that I'm not speaking properly because my cognitive performance is not as good as it used to be. And I cannot stop thinking about it. Like even as I'm doing this episode right now, and I'm thinking I'm probably waffling on a little bit, so I'm going to try and wrap it up pretty quickly. But even as I'm doing the episode right now, I am 100% looking from afar, watching myself speak and imagining, I don't know, I might listen to this in a minute and see if there's any truth to what I'm thinking, but imagining at least that I'm not getting my messages out clearly. So I know, frustrating, isn't it? Like seriously, like that is an obsession. Like don't people usually obsess over like other people and like love and those big broad concepts, Like why am I so all of a sudden defined on being obsessed about my speech? And why has it always got to be negative? Can't I be obsessed with thinking I'm a great speaker? That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. That's just the latest thing that's going on. But I hope that my messages are getting across clearly because a big part of what I do, my meaning and purpose, relies on the fact that I can speak and hopefully articulate and create some messages that might, have a positive impact on people. So I said how at work I've been asking people about this sort of idea, and today I was thinking a lot about it when I was in Sydney at the Black Dog Institute, saying g'day to everybody. Yesterday I was at the University of Newcastle doing work as a research assistant. So I was being recorded actually. Some videos have been recorded of me talking about mental health, my experiences, what's worked, what maybe hasn't, and it's going to be part of this app. These being aimed at men, getting men involved into some CBT sort of psychotherapy work, as well as physical fitness stuff as well. So it's really cool. I'm so honoured and privileged to be working with James, the PhD student, who I'm sure he's listening. And my supervisor Miles as well, who I'm definitely getting on the show down the track, and he knows that too. He's ready to go, so I just got to get that going. But it's a great privilege to be working alongside him, and it is too. It's especially important or significant for me because the reason I'm there, it's not because of my honours degree. Okay, we know if you listen to the show, I've got the honours degree in psychology. I'm very proud of it. It's my greatest achievement. But let's be honest, my thesis marks were, middle of the road. Not as good as I would have hoped, but considering my mental state for that whole year, it's a miracle. Look, I could have died, and I'm not even joking when I say that. Go back to some of the episodes right at the start of this podcast, and you'll see very clearly how bad things were. They were, anyway. But what I'm trying to say is the value that I offer is not because I'm a great researcher, although maybe it is somewhere hidden, I don't know. But it's because I have this lived experience and I'm actively in the space trying to make a difference. And it's great that people with lived experience, there's a value around that now. And there's a dollar value as well, just quietly, which is even better. And it's not just because, I want money. It's not that. It's the fact that, put your money where your mouth is sort of thing. A lot of these institutes, I'm not naming names, but, have sort of ridden on the coattails of a lot of their volunteer participants. Again, I'm not saying the institutes I do stuff with, because if this was the case, I don't think I'd be with them. But, there's been a lot of talk for a long time. Lived experience, living experience. It's so important. It's got to guide everything we do. And it's like, yeah, well, are you going to put some money up front and actually say, right, here's some cash. We're investing financially into this idea of lived experience and living experience. Because for a long time there, a lot of these institutes, a lot of these charities were not doing any sort of financial backing for their volunteers. And it was the volunteers that were shaping and have been shaping a lot of the interventions and a lot of the programs and projects that have been undertaken. So it's great to see that now lived experience and living experience pretty much across the board now attracts a dollar value figure, which is good. And as I said, it's not about the money so much, it's the significance that these institutes and donors and stuff are willing to put money towards this, because it's very, very important. Anyway, with this recording that I did, the videos I was doing yesterday, this is another example of how I think my perception of me at the moment is a bit warped. Because we're watching the videos, right? We're looking at the videos we're going to edit, so it's me talking, doing my thing, and the whole time I'm just cringing, I can't even watch. And James is like, what's wrong? Why can't you watch? I'm just like, nah, this is rubbish. Listen to me. I'm not speaking clearly. I'm not being legible with my, messages I'm trying to get across. Listen to it. It's terrible. And James is looking at me, and he's like, well, he didn't say, similar to this. He's like, are you serious? Like, that is great material. What are you talking about? And that's the thing. Even as I sit here right now, we've gone through the videos and I still feel like I didn't do a great job. And yet the external evidence is saying that I did. And that's what I need to sort of focus on. But it's so difficult when you've got this inner critic and this OCD, obsessive, social anxiety component. There's a lot wrapped up in this that's just gnawing away constantly. And even as I do this episode right now, it's the same thing happening right now. So that's what's been happening lately. Some obsessions about some weird stuff, and it's manifested itself in some of the work that I've been doing on these various projects I'm doing. But the good thing is, which I've become pretty good at now, I've been able to press on and just sort of put it aside at least enough so I can still get done what I need to get done. So there you go. All right, this episode has almost gone for half an hour. Some people have said to me that they like the short ones. Some people say to me that they like the long ones. Well, this one, there's a bit of waffling going on, but hopefully, you guys got something out of it. I'm really happy to be able to talk to you again, even if it is a little loophole that maybe doesn't exist. We'll find out if I get in trouble. I'll let you know. But it's great to be back on the airwaves and just having a chat, because this is my journal. I said this today at the Black Dog Institute. I said, because obviously I was talking about my podcast because that's what I do, bit of self-promotion, but it's true. This is my journal, and, I drove home before, and the whole time thinking I really want to get some words out, and get a recording done, because, I need to download it or upload it, whatever direction it's going. Get it out of my head and sort of, just talk about it. So, so thank you for listening, you guys who are keeping me accountable. But thank you for listening. I do appreciate it, because, it's pretty cool that people listen to my ramblings, my journals. Anyway, all right, that's enough for me. The Kava is doing its thing. I'm telling you, I could keep talking on and on and on, but I'm not going to. So thank you for listening. Like I've said about 1,000 times, if you're enjoying the show, like I also said at the start, feel free, please, to like, subscribe, give us a great rating for that algorithm, and you can share it around with your mates. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at elliot.t.waters. I will see you soon here on the Dysregulated podcast.